Ever logged into a website by using your Google or Facebook account? That's OAuth 2.0 working its magic behind the scenes. But how does it keep your data secure while making things convenient? Let's break it down with a simple example. Now imagine Rob is a manager and Bob is an assistant to Rob. Okay. Now Rob forgot to get his tools from his garage in his house. Rob has two keys, master key and garage key. Master key can open any of the rooms like hall, garage, bedroom, kitchen, whatever it is. Garage key is specifically designed to open only garage, but you can't use garage key to get into hall, kitchen, or any of the rooms. So now Bob has two options, right? He can give master key, which opens garage, but also opens other rooms. Also, Rob has garage key, which gives access only to the garage room. So obviously, Rob chooses to give only garage key to Bob, so that Bob goes to garage and get his tools and give it back to Rob. That's how OAuth 2.0 works in simple terms. Meaning, instead of giving the full access to the entire house, Rob prefers to give only garage key so that Bob can only enter into garage, get all the things needed, and get back to Bob. That's it. Now let's jump on to an actual use case. So now we have a habit tracker application and user logs into the habit tracker application. And when user wants to add a new habit, like he wants to do running every week on Saturday evening or something like that, right? So this habit tracker application also has a feature that it can actually add that specific habit into his own Google Calendar account also. But the problem is habit tracker, in order to add that entry into this specific user's Google Calendar, he needs some access, right? Because this is part of the Google application ecosystem and this is a third party application in context of Google. So somehow user should let habit tracker to access his Google Calendar's account. So that's where OAuth comes into the picture. Now let's go to the more detailed data flow where it gives you a complete picture of how OAuth works. Let's continue with the same example. We have an application habit tracker, which is termed as client. So if you see here, text written in the brackets is basically the OAuth terminology. So we have a habit tracker application, which is called as client, Rob as a user, and Google as an auth server, and Google Calendar as an actual resource. So these are the four terminologies in OAuth. Let's start with the very first step. Rob, as user, tries to log into the habit tracker client. Now this login will just keep that aside. Let's assume Rob as a user logs into the habit tracker with simple email and password. Then when Rob wants to add a new habit into the habit tracker immediately wants to save that into the Google Calendar, right? So first in the background, habit tracker as client requests Google, which is auth service, to authorize the request. Now at this instance, app can actually redirect to Google sign in or show a simple pop-up, and then Rob as user logs into the different Google account, or if it's already logged in, then he just simply chooses that specific logged in Google account, which implies this user logging into the Google application and also approving that habit tracker application can access his Google Calendar, which is a resource. Simple. And as soon as Google Auth Service validates the credentials and Google Auth Server returns an authorization code to Habit Tracker application. Now Habit Tracker application sends back the authorization code to validate and get the token. And Google Auth Server validates the authorization code and returns a token. Now this token is similar to the garage key which has access to this specific garage only. So in our example, Google Auth Server sending a token which is valid only to access his Google Calendar, not Google Drive or any of the other applications. Now, Habit Tracker application requests Google Calendar to get all the calendar information with this token. Google Calendar validates this token and returns the calendar data. So at this stage, Habit Tracker application has full access, read and write, and also we can choose these permissions at different levels. So imagine habit tracker now got access to read and also write. So whenever user Rob adds a new habit tracker application can actually save that information in Rob's Google Calendar also, so that it's always in sync. So this is one of the example. That's it. I hope this is clear. Now there is improvement for the habit tracker application also. So instead of habit tracker explicitly storing username and password for this specific application as a separate entity, habit tracker, whenever user wants to register or log in, they can actually make use of this OAuth so that they don't need to store username and password for this specific application. So on the login screen itself, habit tracker simply redirects Google sign-in page where Rob feeds in his actual Google credentials. Google Auth Server sends an authorization code along with all the metadata what Rob chooses to approve. like his email address, profile picture, and all that information. So with this response, app can actually create an account based on all the meta information like email address, user profile, picture, and all. So this is like an extra improvement. And each application can choose different auth providers like Google login, Facebook login, Instagram login, Twitter, and all. So it depends on the use case, but more or less each individual third party app will actually have a separate username and email way of logging, and also the users can actually log in via the OAuth mechanism. So to sum it up, OAuth is actually for authorization, not for authentication. Just remember, this is purely for authorization, stating that user is allowing this third-party application to access only few resources as per the agreement. That's it. I have created few videos on session-based and JWT authentication. If you are interested, make sure you watch them. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more interesting content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.